taking into consideration my research topic throughout this presentation and literature review was the reconstruction of the Stoa of Attalos effective in betraying the original Stoa of Attalos? So examining how reconstruction plays a major role in structural buildings, and if reconstruction has more limitations than advancements, or can reconstruction provide more of a benefit to society today to betray the past? Introducing the Stoa of Attalos has many features that are important when examining the structural building. So, the first one would be that the Stoa of Attalos was built using special materials during the time period, which is marble and limestone, and this will play a major role throughout the reconstruction process to see how these certain resources limited the way reconstruction could be done. So, the Stoa of Attalos had 42 shops in total, which showed that the Stoa of Attalos served as a commercial building during the time period. And the measures were 337 feet by 65 feet, which shows that there is a major importance in the way that this structural building was built. And it was located in Agora, Athens, Greece. And it was built in the Doric and Ionic design used in the Hellenistic era. The king of Attalos played a major role for the Stoa of Attalos because it was gifted by King Attalos, and he's the main reason that the building was built. He gave this building as a gift in order for his appreciation to be expressed during his ruling, because he studied under the philosopher. The Stoa serves many purposes, which show that there is a difference between the original building and the reconstruction building. The original was a center used for shopping and public events. This shows that people were very influenced by the building, while before reconstruction, it was forgotten. And now it is used to provide evidence and a very good preview of the time period. Unfortunately, the Stoa was destroyed by the Herulans, and the Herulans destroyed the Stoa in 267 AD. And this destruction led to the fall of a great commercial shopping center, which was the Stoa of Attalos, and a need for reconstruction and the ideas of reconstructing the building. When looking at reconstruction, it is important to examine how reconstruction leads into the idea of a building being built exactly to the original. And this leads into my next question, which is how accurate was the reconstruction of the Stoa? And the different sides in my research topic. The first side would be that there is evidence incorporated within the Stoa, and that this resembles as much as possible to the original Stoa, while the other side says that there is many evidence left out, and there is not a clear representation of the original Stoa. It is hard to build an original building just like the Stoa of Attalos because of the different architectural knowledge and how different architects have different techniques over time. taking into consideration the time period that the Stoa of Attalos was reconstructed, which was in the 1950s. There is a clear limitation of resources. Examined in the picture, looking at how the architects used similar tools during the time period that the original Stoa was built. But it isn't about the tools, but the technique that the architects used. There is a major error regarding this photo. The architects were building over the original Stoa, which could destroy the evidence of the original Stoa and provide a totally different building than the original. And how does this destroy evidence in a way, you may ask? Well, because the original Stoa is not being preserved as much as possible. Instead, a different building and different parts are being built right over it. It is important to look at the original Stoa of Attalos in order to compare and differ the reconstructed version and the original version. So how does the Stoa of Attalos portray the original design? Well, looking into the original picture and the reconstructed picture is evident to see that the length, the design are similar in many ways. But similar does not necessarily mean original, and if the evidence was preserved. Looking into the other side, it is important to see how the reconstructed version of the Stoa represented evidence of the original design. Looking into how there is a room that portrays evidence of the original Stoa because it helps for the Stoa of Attalos to not be forgotten, and for the evidence to give a better understanding of the time period so people can understand what the building was used for. The major differences in the reconstructed version was the fortification wall and inscription, which these two features of the original building are major in determining how the evidence was destroyed. Looking at the fortification wall, it shows that the architectural design was more modern than old times and does not portray the viewpoint of the time period. And the inscription being changed shows that it did not include King of Attalos and why the building was built. The reconstructed Stoa of Attalos was more for tourism. Looking at the picture, it is to attract more people of the modern time period. It is important for people to be able to comprehend what the building was used for. So that is why the reconstructed building may differ from the original architectural piece, because people have a different understanding in a different time period, and how there is a need for advancement for people to understand the structure's purpose and to understand how it is a good attraction for the people to not forget the building. In summation, the two sides of the reconstruction of the Stoa is evident because both sides take into account the limitations and the benefits of reconstruction.